Greetings, RPLA Judge. Welcome. We're so glad you've joined the RPLA team. I'm here to talk about judging for the Royal Palm Literary Awards competition, particularly its peculiarities or special protocols and unexpected rewards and chocolate. First, what RPLA is. In a nutshell, it's a service offered by the Florida Writers Association that recognizes excellence in its members' published and unpublished works and also provides objective and candid feedback to all entrants. This means RPLA has two very different goals, recognizing excellence and helping all entrants. That's what this webinar is about. You already know how to evaluate writing. That's why you were chosen. But this webinar will explain how to achieve the twin goals. Chocolate. RPLA gets hundreds of entries. Some are from well-known authors who are experts in the craft. Some are from writers just beginning their writing journey. RPLA entries are like Forrest Gump's proverbial box of chocolates. You never know what you'll get. Tools. Whatever kind of entries you get, your judging tool is the score sheet or rubric. Each genre category has a different rubric. While these templates are different, they have the same basic structure. Top. This section tells you the name of the entry in the genre. Official use only box. Nothing for you to do here. RPLA admins fill in the judge number, judge placement, rubric coordinator number, more about that later, and final score when it's certified. Scoring key, genre description, criteria. Each rubric asks you to measure the work using 10 criteria. Each criterion has a field for a score, maximum 10 points. Each criterion has a field for comments to explain the score. Please read the descriptions of each criterion and the instructions to the judges carefully. These are important for ensuring we judge apples to apples. Process. Here's how it comes together. 1. You sit tight until you get an email from the RPLA chairperson. 2. The chair sends you an entry and its rubric. 3. You judge the entry by the author method. I'll discuss it in a minute. 4. You may ask the chairperson questions. 5. You email the completed rubric back when and where the rubric specifies. 6. A rubric coordinator confers with you, and together you put the rubric to bed. 7. You sit tight until you hear from the chair. 8. Rinse and repeat. Okay, leave out the rinsing. That's the process. Note that it involves folks called rubric coordinators. I'll say RCs for short. You may work with one RC or several. You don't need to keep them straight. They'll contact you. RCs are your partners, safety net, and second set of eyes. They review all rubrics to make sure entries are judged on a level playing field. RCs also find the occasional typo or math error, no charge. The author system. The rubrics provide your judging blueprint. RCs are your coaches. This leaves you to focus on the author system. Assess, understand, tally, help, objectify, and rule. Golden. It goes like this. A equals assess. You are the judge. You are in the driver's seat. Your first order of business is to glance at the entry to ensure it is appropriate for you to judge. Or not. So, when would you say no? If you have a relationship with the author, if you don't feel you can be objective, if you just don't like the content. If the entry is a no-go, contact the chair immediately. Since the chair is the one who sent the entry, just click reply and say, no thanks. You may refuse an entry for any reason or no reason at all. But if you're good with the entry, you're still not done with assess. Be mindful of any prejudice you may have and compensate. Periodically review the guidelines and judge information packet. Review the genre description on the rubric. Now assess is done. You're ready to read the entry. Read it carefully, but not so carefully that you can't gauge its effect on a general reader. Understand. Respect the writer. Understand where he or she is coming from. Everyone starts somewhere, and few of us can say we have no cringe-worthy early efforts. It may help to think of an entrant's early effort as a seedling. As a judge, if you are harsh and cut most of the shoot away, you kill it. But if you're tactful, your constructive comments can redirect the entrant's growth with no damage. Example, here's a comment a judge made under the plot criterion. Plot? What plot? This is rude, inappropriate, and certainly not constructive. The fix, how about the opening of the story contains so much backstory that the plot gets lost. Perhaps some of the backstory could be woven in later as it becomes relevant. This comment works because while it alerts the entrant to a plot problem, it also specifies what the problem is, even suggesting a fix. Remember, too, you're judging, not critiquing. When you critique, you evaluate by your own criteria. When you judge, you evaluate using RPLA's criteria, apples to apples. Notice, too, that nowhere in the rubrics do we ask about marketability. That's beyond the scope of our contest. Your mission is to evaluate how well a story is told, not how well you think it will sell. T equals tally. Yep, it's a contest, so we assign numbers. Use a 10-point scale for all criteria. Your rubric will be worth a maximum of 100 points. Please be sparing with very low scores unless the writing indicates that they are truly deserved. Bashing seldom helps anyone. And check your math. H equals help. Here's the fun part, helping a budding writer, helping a pro. Don't we all need help? Here's also where RPLA is different from many other writing competitions. This H thing, help, is a biggie. Judges help entrants through praise, thoroughness, and consistency. Help through praise. Not artificial praise, but praise where it's due. It's easy to forget that writers need to know what they're doing right as well as wrong. The easiest and most effective approach is to begin each comment by identifying a strength and following with constructive suggestions. Help through thoroughness. Please complete every field, even if a criterion receives a perfect score. Be specific and use examples. Sometimes we get comments like this. Under the mechanics criterion, one judge wrote, lots of errors, score 4. Examples would help. No need to list every error, but a few representatives. Errors distract the reader from this otherwise strong story, in particular, the confusion of possessive and plural forms. For instance, on page 4, first sentence, the kind of shoes that nurses wear should read, that nurses wear. Better, eh? Oh, and please make sure the comment actually addresses the criterion. For instance, discussing character motivation under mechanics doesn't explain the mechanics score. Help through consistency. Sounds simple. If the score for a criterion is low, the corresponding comment should explain why. But guess what? Sometimes we get something like this. Under the character criterion, one judge wrote, the characters are well-rounded and interesting. Score 4. There are two problems here. 1, the score is lower than the comment indicates. 2, the comment is too vague to be of value. How about this? While the supporting characters are well-rounded and interesting, the protagonist seems too perfect. No apparent flaws, no conflicting emotions. Perhaps showing insecurity or indecision, nail-biting, binge-eating, would make the protagonist more relatable. Better! Help is an important part of the judge's role. You can help and still provide candid, constructive criticism. O equals objectify. Objectify. Depersonalize. Simple yet important. Each comment should address the work, not the author, not you as a judge, the work. This means two things. Minimize the use of first-person pronouns, I, me, or my, and second-person pronouns, you or your. Let's look at some examples. First, the first-person pronouns. Let's say description is thin for the first scene in Chapter 2. Rather than say, I'd like to see more description in the first scene in Chapter 2, you could say, more detailed description in the first scene in Chapter 2 would pull the reader more powerfully into the scene. As for the second person pronouns, how would you as an entrant react to a comment such as this? You forgot a period after the first sentence on page 4. Sounds a little personal, doesn't it? How about the period is missing after the first sentence on page 4? O is for objectify. Address the work, not the author or yourself. Semantics? You bet. But to an entrant, it can make all the difference. R equals rule, golden. R is hands down, absolutely 100% the most important component of the author judging process. It's the lens through which to view everything. It means create a rubric like you would like to receive. We're not talking about false praise or inflated scores. We're talking about ensuring that your comments are constructive. This is not always easy, and your rubric coordinator, your partner in sounding board, is there to help. And that's the author system. Assess, understand, tally, help, objectify, and rule. Golden. With this system, who knows? The rubric you create today may be just the spark that propels a future writing superstar. From here, okay, we've talked about the goals of RPLA, rubrics, rubric coordinators, the author system, and chocolate. We also promised to talk about the judges' unexpected rewards. Over and over, judges discover that their work not only enriches the writing community, but their own writing. The RPLA experience feeds your muse, connects you with the writing community, identifies trends, makes you feel really, really good, and gives you bragging rights. Reward 5 is relatively new. Feel free to let folks know you're part of the RPLA team. List the experience on your resume, on your website, and in queries. However, please never reveal which genres you judge. Never discuss an entry with anyone other than the RPLA admin or the RC assigned to the genre. Thanks. So again, thank you, Judge, for your time and expertise. Thank you for following RPLA protocols, using the author system, and enabling the entrants to compete on a level playing field. You're in for a rewarding experience and a fun ride. As Forrest would say, you never know what you'll get.